welcome, 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 welcome to the live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the live. Welcome. Welcome in, welcome in. Welcome to the live. Welcome to the live. Come on in. Welcome to the live. Today we're talking about empaths and no resonance. Empaths and achieving no resonance. This is what we're talking about, how to ensure that narcissists no longer find you attractive. Come on in. Today we're talking about no resonance. And no resonance is all about ensuring that you're no longer attractive to narcissists. That's what we're talking about today. No resonance. Come on in. That's Chance of Sound by Steel Pulse in the background. Come on in. Today we're going deep into what no resonance is. The final liberation from narcissism, narcissistic abuse, and the shadow. No resonance. If you want to know what the final liberation from narcissism is, even if you don't get free today, you are in the right place. You are in the right place. Today we're talking about no resonance. The final liberation from narcissism, narcissistic abuse, and narcissists. So if you're ready to end your narcissistic abuse once and for all, welcome in, welcome in. You're ready to end your abuse once and for all and fly with love, not hate. You're in the right place. You are in the right place. You are in the right place. This is Chant a Sound by Steel Pulse. Because every day we wake up, we need to chant a sound. Every day we wake up, we need to give thanks. Every day we wake up, right, Elizabeth? We need to be shining. Love wins. We need to be in a place of gratitude. That's what this is about. Come on in. When pressure drop, it cannot concentrate. No. Let me begin. Let me begin. Let me begin. Let's begin. Let's begin. Let's begin. Today we're talking about no resonance. No resonance. No resonance. And how no resonance is your final liberation from narcissistic abuse. So let me begin. You see, there's a stage of healing from narcissistic abuse that is not often talked about. And that's what I want to talk about today, Dawn Marie. Then this is the stage that goes beyond blocking. This is the stage that goes beyond boundaries. This is the stage that goes beyond exposing the narcissist, This is the stage that goes beyond understanding the narcissist. And this is the stage that goes beyond even forgiving the narcissist. Love wins. And perhaps the most surprising thing is even beyond hating the narcissist, Sanctuary 2020. And this state is what we call an inner mileage, no resonance. Because it's something most people don't understand about narcissistic abuse, meaning you can leave psychologically, but still carry them. You can block their telephone number while still having imaginary arguments with them every morning. You can unfollow them while still checking whether they are succeeded. You can expose them while secretly needing to know that you exposed them. You can forgive them while secretly waiting for the universe to punish them. You can even build an entire identity around someone who escaped being a narcissist. And when that happens, the relationship has ended geographically, but it has not ended internally. No contact is about access, whereas no resonance is about relativity, organization. So the question should not be, can this person or can these people contact me? The deeper question is, does this person still organize anything inside me? My attention, my nervous system, my need to prove myself, my spirituality, my need to be vindicated, my identity as an empath. Because anything that continues to organize your consciousness retains a form of psychological gravity. Who am I talking to? And this is where our exploration is going to go into the work of Carl Jung, into individuation, into what the various spiritual traditions say about this, what psychology says about this. and realizing that the highest form of liberation is not defeating darkness. The highest form of liberation is becoming so internally integrated that darkness can no longer recruit you. So let me go into the details here. First, this might be very difficult for people to hear, Moni. This may be very difficult for some people to hear. This may be difficult for some people to hear. But hatred cannot become the final attachment. This does not mean that anger is wrong, because anger after mistreatment can be intelligent. Anger after the nervous system flying may be enough to say enough is enough. Your anger may even help restore boundaries after years of accommodation, fawning, submission, and so on. But I'm not talking about prematurely forgiving anybody. What I'm talking about is allowing abusive people back into your life. I'm not talking about bypassing injustice. No, no, no. What I'm talking about is what comes after anger has performed its sacred function. Because eventually, anger becomes information or identity. And hatred, which includes anger, has an interesting psychological structure. Hatred says, I still need you to remain psychologically present so I can oppose you. You see the trick? You must remain my enemy. Therefore, I remain opposed to you. And as long as you are necessary for the maintenance of my identity, there is still resonance. Think about this carefully. If I need you to remain evil so I can remain good, you still participate in defining me. If I need you to fail so I can feel victorious, you still participate in defining me. If I still need you to regret losing me, you still participate in defining me. If I need everyone, let me say, to understand what you did, you, Madam Narcissist, still participate in defining me. Now, everything I'm saying does not mean that truth should not be spoken. It just means something more subtle, that truth and attachment are not the same thing. Meaning that eventually you can tell the truth without needing the offender to hear it, without needing the narcissist to validate it. You can establish boundaries without anger. You can recognize manipulation without obsession. You can recognize pathology without hatred. You can remember what happened without psychologically returning to the scene. This is the beginning of no resonance. And modern trauma science gives us useful language here. Here it is. Traumatic experiences can leave learned threat responses that persist even after the danger is gone. Contemporary fear extinction research shows that safety learning, memory updating, and all these things alter your responses. So your memory does not necessarily disappear. What changes is your relationship to the memory. And that's remarkably close to what I call no resonance, meaning that even though the history remains, the hook, the hatred, disappears. Who am I talking to? Who am I? You cannot reach no resonance without meeting your shadow. You cannot reach no resonance without looking at your own hate. You cannot reach no resonance without looking at your own self-hatred. And this is what brings us to the work of Carl Jung. Now, Carl Jung, the great Swiss psychotherapist, who became great after he started to include Eastern thought and plant medicine into his work, understood that human beings do something extraordinary with parts of ourselves that we cannot tolerate. Meaning we disown those parts. We push them outside conscious identity. So the person that says, I love you is what we want to remain. But somewhere beneath that beautiful identity that we've constructed lives our aggression. Best case scenario, the biggest, lives our envy, lives our need for domination, jealousy, selfishness, our hatred, our resentment. You understand? Our craving, our contempt. And Jung's broader individuation model involves confronting unconscious material rather than allowing the conscious ego to remain sealed and one-sided. And this is why narcissistic abuse recovery becomes much deeper than most people are prepared to go. That's why I always say at Inner Mind Age, I love everyone, but this work is not for everyone. This work is for the person who's sick and tired of being sick and tired, who's in the final mind. Not someone who wants to project and bypass. And that's okay if you want to project and bypass. No judgment. Because the narcissist may have confronted you with their shadow, but eventually your own healing confronts you with your shadow. Let me say that again. The narcissist confronts you with their shadow, but eventually your healing requires you to confront your shadow. And your shadow does not necessarily mean that you possess narcissistic personality disorder. That's not what I'm saying. That's simplistic. It means simply this. You, Madam Empath, Mr. Empath, Person Empath, possess human capacities you may have rejected because they conflict with your preferred identity. So maybe you hate the selfishness of the narcissist because you may have rejected your own permitted healthy selfishness. Maybe you hate the aggression of the narcissist because your own healthy aggression was punished. Maybe you hate the confidence of the narcissist and their con people because you were trained to disappear. You were trained to disappear. Maybe you hate how easily they say no because you learned that love requires a perpetual yes. Cerebellum, what kind of question is that? Why hasn't psychology evolved as much past Karl Marx, Sigmund Freud, and Jung? Because there's nothing new. And of course, their contemporary researchers, particularly in neuroscience, like Dr. Feldman Barrett, Dr. Amisha Jha. Come on, Cerebellum. What kind of question is this? You understand? Are you in the right place, Cerebellum? I get impatient with these kinds of questions. What do you mean it hasn't evolved? It's also because the human brain hasn't evolved much past the cave person's brain. That's the work of Stephen Pigner. Cerebellum, come on, don't make me a theorist over here where I have to show off. Stop it. And if you want to be here, then we learn together. But don't ask me these kinds of questions. Are you in the right place, Cerebellum? I got to ask you, are you in the right place, Cerebellum? You got to confirm if this is the right life for you. Why isn't complex people, why do you think it's not noticed? You tell me, Cerebellum. Since you have all these questions, you tell me. Let me continue. The empath shadow. This is why I want to push the conversation much further. Because spiritual communities often make the empath into an angel, which is true. And the empath becomes completely innocent, which is not true. Completely loving, completely light, completely selfless. And the narcissist, completely dark. But the absolute moral polarization can become a trauma defense. Cerebellum, I don't understand anything you're saying. I think you're in the wrong place. So you got to go. This sideways comments that don't make sense. What are you saying? It's a lot of projection. If I can't understand what's going on, I asked you 3 times. So because of this perspective of angel and light, the absolute moral polarization can itself become a trauma defense. Who am I talking to? Because the empath has a shadow too. He or she who's without blame casts the first stone. The empath can manipulate through withdrawal. The empath can control through caretaking. The empath can seek superiority through being more conscious. Who am I talking to? The empath can become addicted to being needed. Who am I talking to? The empath can secretly enjoy being morally right. The empath can also become attached to victimhood because victimhood offers innocence. The empath can also rescue people partly because rescuing protects them from confronting themselves. Am I talking to you? The empath may condemn narcissistic grandiosity while secretly carrying spiritual grandiosity. I'm the awakened one. I'm the chosen one. I am the light. They are the darkness. That is still duality, separation. So shadow work asks the question that ordinary healing rarely asks, Kimmy. Shadow work asks the question that ordinary healing rarely asks. The biggest, Sweetie Pie. I like the name Sweetie Pie. And the question that you begin to ask yourself is, of you, the empath, is, where was I also controlling? Where was I also entitled? Where do I manipulate? Where do I secretly want revenge? Who am I talking to? Am I talking to you? Where do I enjoy being superior? Where do I use spirituality to avoid grief? Where do I weaponize silence? Where do I perform goodness? Where have I confused boundaries with cruelty because I was never allowed to possess power? I know I'm annoying someone here by telling you the truth, but you got to tell me, if I'm talking to you, type transform. If I am talking to you, type transform if you're ready to see the truth. Jerry, if I'm talking to you, type transform, Jerry. Everything I've said is not self-condemnation. Everything I just said is about self-reclamation. You reclaim aggression without becoming abusive. You reclaim selfishness without becoming exploitative. Thank you, Love Money, Love Wins. You reclaim sexuality without becoming predatory. Nomi, Renee, Elizabeth. You reclaim power without domination, Diane. You reclaim discernment without contempt, Yulia, Monique. You reclaim detachment without becoming cold, Azamazade, Shituri, Obam. You reclaim the capacity to say no, and suddenly the narcissist no longer carrying the psychological qualities you refuse to own. You purge yourself of the narcissistic traits, and they stop being your shadow carrier. And something remarkable happens when you do this. Any projection, summer, loses its adhesive. And that is real individuation. It's not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming less fragmented. And by the way, all the religions knew everything I just told you. You see, everything I've said to you appears across all religious and contemplative traditions, most of them. And different traditions use different metaphysics, but they converge on the same profound principle. That is, the dangerous impulse is not merely outside you. It must also be encountered within. This is why, from the Christian perspective, Yeshua in Matthew 7 turns moral scrutiny inward before it turns outward. In Matthew 7, before becoming preoccupied with the defect in another person, examine what obstructs your own seeing. Before you remove the speck from another person's eye, remove yours. Before sharing your oxygen mask, put it yours on first. That is shadow work in the theological sense. And the revolutionary question is not simply what is wrong with the narcissist. It is what prevents me, the empath, from seeing clearly. And transformation requires descent into your own shadows. So the cross itself is not an avoidance of darkness. It's the passage through darkness. You see, your resurrection appears after Golgotha, not instead of Golgotha. I just said something. In Judaism, this is about the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Hatov. Rabbinic Judaism develops the language of Yetzer Hara, which is the inclination towards harmful or self-serving impulses. Who am I talking to? That's also alongside Yetzer Hatov. Monique, Yetzer Hatov is the inclination towards good. So Jewish sources do not require pretending that the destructive impulses do not exist, Elizabeth, because ethical and spiritual life involves recognizing and governing these competing tendencies. And think about the sophistication of that. So the darkness is not merely over there. Human beings contain conflicting possibilities, and spiritual maturity requires consciousness of both. And if you really want to see your own darkness, book a free session with me at innermileage.com, and we can go into it whether we are a match or not. In Islam, are there any Muslims here today? Where are my Muslims? Are there any Jewish people here today? In Islam, it talks about the nafs. The Quran, likewise, places the struggle inside the human being. The devil and the angel is in you, not outside you. Specifically in the Quran, Surah 12:53, it speaks of the nafs as capable of inclining toward wrongdoing, while the Surah Al-Shams presents the soul as capable of recognizing both corruption and righteousness and associates success with purification. Am I talking to you? Where are you? If I'm talking to you, type transform. I want to know I'm talking to you. Where are you? If I'm talking to you, type transform. I want to know I'm talking to you if I'm talking to you. Where are you? Get on your throne of gold. This is Throne of Gold by Steel Pulse. I want to know I'm talking to you. Where are you? Am I talking to you? Are you on your throne of gold? Are you on your throne of gold? Are you on your throne of gold? She's my queen. I'm her king. Come on. This is Steel Pulse. Are you on your throne of gold? Sit on your throne of gold. Are you hearing what I'm saying to you? Are you with me? Are we on the same level? Are we in the same zip code? Are you on your throne of gold? If you're on your throne of gold, someone type transform or throne of gold. Azama Sadeh, Nashakola. This is what it is. This is what it is. You see, Jah will be your light and shining armor. Your higher self is your knight in Shamor. Yes, daughter Bella. I'm glad you can hear me, Bella. I'm glad you can hear me. Let me continue. In Islam, I just told you what Islam said, and we got a confirmation from Azamzadeh on Instagram. So we know in the Bhagavad Gita, are there any Hindus here? In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna identifies desired anger rising through the rajas. Julia? Eswatini, big up yourself. Big up Eswatini, the land of the divine. You see, Krishna identifies desired anger arising through what he called rajas, which are forces that become consuming and obstructive. Are there any Hindus here? Especially Advaita Vedanta. Notice the recurrent architecture in Christianity. It says, look first at your own, what obstructs your own vision. Judaism says, see the darkness in you. Islam says, purify yourself. Hinduism says, observe desire and anger. And Buddhism says, observe your own greed, hatred, and delusion. This is how you start to realize what the dark side is actually. The dark side must first be recognized. And then when it's recognized, it can be relinquished. You understand? You cannot liberate yourself from trauma and anger while pretending to be beyond trauma and anger. You cannot relinquish hatred while spiritualizing hatred. You cannot release pride while building a spiritual identity around being more evolved than everyone else. That's why I always tell you, even though I live like a monk, I have 2 or 3 bad habits. And I'm okay with those bad habits. What the bomba? You understand what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying, Don Marie? Yes, throne of gold. Yes, Nana, alternate Nana. This is what it's about. So there's an important distinction between my own Buddhist practice, which I just talked about, and Jungian psychology. So Jungian individuation, the Jungian side, speaks in terms of integrating the shadow into a more comprehensive personality. But Buddhism goes further. Buddhism asks, who owns the personality? Who owns the anger? Who owns the fear? Dawn Marie? Who owns the wound? Who owns the story? And where there is is there a permanent me at the center of it? A young moves towards the wholeness of the psyche, whereas the Dharma moves towards insights into the emptiness of everything, including hatred. So let me talk about emptiness. Emptiness does not mean nothing. Am I talking to you? When people hear the word emptiness, they think nihilism. But that's not emptiness. That is not emptiness. The Buddha describes emptiness with precision. The practitioner, you, notices what is absent and what remains present. And as more progressively disturbing perceptions are released, there's progressively less disturbance. So when you apply this to narcissistic abuse, imagine remembering the narcissist. Your memory appears of the narcissist. Then a sensation, this doesn't feel good. Then maybe pressure on your chest. Then an image, a memory, a thoughts. And then what happens? They did this to me. How could they do this to me? I need them to understand what they did to me. They wasted my time and they stole my years. They stole my future. They destiny swapped. They must know what they lost when they lost me. And that event becomes wrapped in I and my making. I, my. And the trauma becomes the identity. You see? But emptiness introduces another possibility. I'm loving all the discussions I'm seeing on all the media. Emptiness introduces another possibility because everything starts with a sensation. Then what is known about the sensation? Then thoughts. What is known about the thoughts? Then anger. What is known about your anger? Memory. What is known about your memory? Grief. What is known about the grief? None of this required construction of an eternal identity. So the experience when you do this with emptiness becomes there is anger, which is different from saying I am angry. Or there is grief, which is different from saying I am permanently the abandoned one. Am I talking to you? Am I talking to you? Where are you if I'm talking to you? And I don't know if anyone has a question. Maybe I can take one question, particularly on TikTok and Instagram. If you have a question or comment, just invite yourself and I'll invite you on video so you can answer this question. You see? But no resonance, the formula for no resonance is this. When there's a trigger, when there's resonance, when a trigger leads to meaning, identification, access, and repetition, meaning you're still resonant with hate. But when you go into your deep shadows, no resonance does not mean become emotionally dead. No resonance does not mean becoming unavailable to yourself. No resonance dreaming means becoming structurally unavailable to the old pattern, Susie Homemaker. You know you are approaching no resonance when the name of the narcissist does not automatically change your state. When you stop checking on them. When you stop needing vindication. When you do not care whether their new relationship succeeds or fails. When you can recognize their pathology without making it a spiritual. Where are you? Am I talking to you? When you no longer tell the story without physiologically returning to the story. When you no longer need the identity, I am the empath who defeated the narcissist. Because even that identity contains the narcissist. And eventually, when you release the narcissist, you are simply you. And this is how you begin to reclaim your power. You do not need to win. You do not need to win. And perhaps the most paradigm shifting thing I'll say here is, if trauma made the narcissistic adaptation say, I will become powerful enough that nobody can hurt me, then the empathic adaptation is, I will become good enough that nobody can hurt me and nobody will hurt me. But you see, Those strategies are designed around the wound. But no resonance happens when you say to yourself, I do not need power to protect myself from vulnerability. I do not need goodness to purchase love. I can be vulnerable and powerful. Do you see what I mean? So let me tell you about no resonance and emptiness. Jung says, in effect, go into the shadow to retrieve what you protected. But the Buddha says, let's examine who claims ownership of what you're protecting, the wound. This is the whole point. So no resonance is not simply about being high vibrational. No resonance is not running around trying to stay high vibrational, because the obsession with high vibration can become another rejection of darkness. No resonance is not that. No resonance is realizing that sadness becomes low vibration. But you don't want to reject the darkness. No resonance is where you realize that everything can arise, good and bad. Everything can arise, good and bad. And anger can arise. Anger can arise. Fear can arise. Memory can arise. Pleasure can arise. But none of these have to become an identity. And this is how you know you're approaching the love supreme, like John Coltrane told us. This is how you start to approach the love supreme. And no narcissist will be able to feed on you anymore. And this is where emptiness becomes the black hole. The black hole is space. Emptiness is dense and full of potential. This is what the observer effect is. Everything is in potential until observed. So perhaps the narcissist's final role in your life was not to remain your enemy. The narcissist's final role in your life is to reveal everything in you that still needs or needed an enemy. Are you with me? Are you with me? A love supreme. Your hunger for recognition, your hidden aggression, your fear of power, your addiction to rescuing, your attachment to moral superiority, your inability to disappoint. Woo. You see, your need to be understood, your relationship with uncertainty, your projections. And once all those things become conscious, the narcissist becomes unnecessary. So the question becomes not how do I defeat the narcissist, but what did this relationship reveal that I can now reclaim? What did this relationship reveal that I can now reclaim? So remember, if this teaching resonated with you, understand what inner mileage is about. We're not simply learning how to identify narcissists. We are not spending the remainder of our lives managing narcissistic people. We are going beneath the relationship, beneath the trauma bond, beneath the nervous system, beneath the persona, beneath the identity, until we reach the architecture that made the hook possible. Because freedom is not merely getting away from someone. Freedom is becoming unavailable to the pattern. And perhaps that is the real meaning of inner mileage, which is the distance between where the trauma placed you and where your consciousness is capable of taking you. So if you're ready to survive beyond narcissistic abuse and enter the deep work of embodiment, individuation, shadow integration, keep coming back to this channel. Book a free session with me at innermileage.com. And remember, if anything I've said to you resonates today, type no resonance. And let me know where you're signing in from, which country, which state. And type no resonance if this resonates with you. When you see your own shadow, you are free. When you face your own shadows, you're mourning. May you always be abundant. May you always be joyful. May I always be joyful. May you be replenished. Elizabeth, no resonance. If this resonates with you, type no resonance with the narcissist. No resonance, Don Marie, no resonance. The biggest, no resonance. Because we're all about the love supreme. No resonance. No resonance. This is the love supreme. 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 Woo! This is the love supreme. Can you imagine dancing to John Coltrane? That's what we're doing. This is what we're doing. No resonance. No resonance. Yes, Azamazadeh. Yes, Nomi. Yes, I am Star. Yes, Julia. Yes, Brittany. Yes, Green Trees. Yes, I am Love Wins. Yes, Nana. Yes, Dawn Marie. Yes, Nana Mama. Pacific Northwest. This is what it's about. Yes, Sweetie Pie. No resonance. No resonance. There is no reason for anybody to be unkind. Therefore, if you're unkind, that's a choice. There is no reason for anyone to be unkind from this day forth. What is your reason for being unkind? I'm asking you, Madam Narcissist, Mr. Narcissist, why are you unkind? What is your reason for being unkind? There is no reason to be unkind. That's no resonance. There's no reason to hate yourself. There is no reason to hate yourself because no narcissist, narcissism, or narcissistic abuse can survive or thrive where love lives. So if you're unkind, you're creating hate, which puts you in resonance with narcissism. If you choose love, you are no resonance with narcissism. Why would you be resonant with narcissism? Why would you be resonant with hate? Why would anyone choose to be resonant with hate? I'm asking you. Why? Why? There is no reason in this Saturn retrograde in 2026, in this new earth, that if you choose to be hateful, you've cast the votes. Why would you choose to be hateful? Why would you choose to gossip? Why would you choose to manipulate? Why would you choose to lie? Why would you choose to exploit? Why would you choose? The math doesn't math. He said it. Why? Like, what is your justification? Because the reason why the planet and the families are the way they are is because hatred is spread from parent to child, to parent to child, to parent to child, from parent to child, to parent to child, from parent to child. So what is the reason? Why are people so unkind? And you know why they're unkind. They're unkind because they are suffering. Do you want to suffer? Do you want to suffer? People are unkind because that's what happens when you are in hell. To be unkind is to live in hell. To begin in being kind with wisdom is the beginning of heaven. To be unkind is to remain in hell. To begin to mix love with wisdom is the beginning of heaven. To be unkind is to remain in hell. To begin to embody love with wisdom is the beginning of heaven. To be unkind and to choose to be unkind is to remain in hell and to stay in hell and to burn in hell and all the gnashing and weeping that is coming, that has come. To be wicked, to be hateful is to choose to remain in hell. To be kind is how you create the new earth, especially kindness mixed with wisdom. This is still John Coltrane. A Love Supreme Part 2, Resolution. Why would you be unkind? Think about that. There's no reason to be unkind. Why would you be unkind to yourself? Why would you hate yourself? Why would you hate yourself? Why do you hate yourself? Why? There's no other hatred except self-hatred. All hatred is self-hatred. All hatred is self-hatred. All limiting self-beliefs come from trauma, which creates hatred. Why will you allow yourself to maintain hatred as a whole? Why? So make a manifesto that no resonance is what brings you to the end of hatred. Your own hatred. No resonance is how you come to the end of hatred. Especially your own hatred, your own self-hatred. Because there's no other kind of hatred except self-hatred. All hatred is self-hatred. Why would you hate how amazing you are? Why would you hate your eyes? Why would you hate your nostrils? Why would you hate your nails? Why would you hate your kidneys if you have them? Why would you hate your lungs if you have them? Why would you hate your toenails if you have them? Why would you hate your pinky finger if you have one? Why would you hate your left knee if you have one? Why would you hate your heel if you have one? Why would you hate the soles of your feet if you have one? Why? That's the trick of the narcissist. Because the only way they can keep you trapped in the matrix is by creating dense energies within you. And dense energies are hateful energies. So long as you allow yourself to feel hate as a place to be, and if somebody can make you hate them, game over. You are in hell. That's the point. You want to have a resolution. You are at the hand. There's no place for hate. There's no place for self-hate. Self-hate traps you in hell. Self-hate traps you in hell, which is why the trick of the narcissist is to make you hate themselves. And the narcissist wants you to hate themselves because the narcissist hates themselves. Whether it's your mother, whether it's your sister, your daughter, the narcissist wants you to hate yourself because they hate themselves. And the narcissist can only give you what they have, which is hate. You see the whole thing? That's the whole kit and caboodle. That is the whole kit and caboodle. So thank you so much for your time and attention. And we'll be back here again on Monday, Fun Day. Yes? Thank you so much. Thank you. Remember, there's no one like you. No one like you. No one. No one like you. And there's no place for hate. Yes? One love. One love. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes? Let love reign. Let love be supreme. Because it's a love supreme. There's no place for hate. No place for hate. One love. One love. There's no place for hate. No place. No place for hate. One love.